Outward is a hard game, which is why many adventurers have failed, their corpses now offering you mana, slave labor, or simply loot. However, back in times immemorial, one adventurer, despite having endured hardships unimaginable, prevailed. Merton. Explain this, lore heads. His aerodynamic design enabled running speeds of up to 167 bald eagles per buckies. His strong calcium reinforced bones made him close to immune to physical assault. His fire poker, deadly and singeing, allowed not only for highly lethal attacks but also for improvised cooking. However, we get none of that. The remnants of the once so famed but now forgotten Merton are but shameless imitations. How else would you explain the complete lack of any defensive stats? The fire poker, meanwhile, is incredibly strong for the first 5 hours of the game. Beyond that point, well, we'll see how it goes. So that poses the question, can I beat the game? That means completing a faction quest of my choice only using Merton's set, and some other things I'll get to later. Well, I don't fucking know, which is why, against all reason, I'm also doing it in hardcore, meaning that should I be defeated in combat, there's a 20% chance of me falling to the ground and never getting back up again. This is an incredibly bad fucking idea. Now, I started off by creating my beautiful man, as realistically whatever abomination I spawn into, the world will barely get to see the light of day anyways. After running through the tutorial, of course unable to kill the hyenas, I woke up in Serzo, told the people wanting to repossess my home to politely go eat a sandal, and made my way to the location of Merton's skull. Okay, so the skull is on top of this building. If I remember correctly, it's a giant pain in the ass to get up there. I don't remember exactly how you get up here. The hitboxes are really fucking janky. They're like from the fucking Great Hollow in Dark Souls 1. It's fucking atrocious. Almost had it there. Come on, come on, come on. Yes. Heck yeah! And after that, I of course also got the rest of his remains. With drip acquired, I stole Izan's lunch money, grabbed fitness. Fitness, of course, necessary, but steady arm. You know what? Fuck off. No, not getting that. Only pussies block. Real men just fucking die. And headed into the storage area and gave this knobhead a singular bandage to drape over his gaping stomach wound. He would thankfully go on to die from acute blood loss minutes later. But that was completely irrelevant to me, as before he did, he wrote up a tribal favor attesting that I had displayed an act of kindness, however incompetent, which resulted in me getting my lighthouse back. Coil? Ooh, power coil. I still cannot get used to how fucking common they are nowadays. Like finding one of them before the definitive edition, that was like fucking getting the Inferno Dragon in Clash Royale back in 2017 or whatever the fuck he was added. And so with everyone having moved on to their respective regions, it was time for me to depart too, and it would be to Enmuka Forest, of course. Dude, this is looking so pretty right now. Well, that doesn't. Okay. Well, you know, I'll take a look at the little hill over there and see whether there is a trade up there. Yeah, no, there's nothing up there. But you know, I'm here already, so might as well get the iron. Ooh, whoa! So it was worth it. Fuck yeah. Well, I'm heading back to the bandit camp then and getting myself a nice, ooh, very good choice to come here. Hello, my brother. You didn't make it. Neither will I. Okay, so the plan is essentially gonna be, enter, run straight to the house that has the door, unlock it, get the backpack, and fucking leg it. Or should I say, bone it? I'm sorry. Okay, well, naturally, the dog is gonna be a pain in the ass, as I have a giant pile of bones, and so he's gonna want. Ah, fucking hell! Get the backpack. Oh god. Okay, no problem. Everything's good. Everything's fine. Don't tell Giom. No one's seeing this. Giom, you're not seeing this. Nothing's happening right here. Everything's within the ordinary. Nothing to see here. Now finally, in Enmuka, the first thing I did was of course enter the Dolmen Crypt, switching the lever at the bottom while also evading whatever possible. No fucking Soroborian in sight. Fucking hell. Then, finally, after approximately exactly 47 minutes and 6 seconds, I acquired my weapon for the run, Merton's Fire Poker. Now, as I alluded to in the beginning, in the early game, it's not half bad. It's a mace, so the moveset is solid. The speeds, while not as quick as a sword or axe, are still rather brisk owed to this weapon's 1.2 attack speed. It deals 28 total damage, half of it fire, and fittingly inflicts burning. And while all of that sounds really quite good, there will turn out to be quite a few problems with it that will, in more than one occasion, result in my imminent demise. Oh, they're hiding in the bushes. They're getting more advanced. I don't know. They aren't. Look at these fucking buffoons. Pathetic. Can't even rob me right. Should have ended it all when you had the chance. Look at how pathetic you are. Unable to kill what is already dead, you're a failure. And you're a disappointment to your bloodline. A disgrace, truly. And you shall live with that for the rest of your sad, forsaken life. Anyhow, I arrived in Berg. There, I acquired both Rage and Mace Infusion, did some obligatory inventory management at my squatter camp, conveniently set up right along the main road, and left. My destination? The Cabal of Wind's Temple. My goal? Acquire Horror Chitin to then subsequently set up a weapon smuggling operation, delivering the contraband armaments to the direct rival and later war enemy of my yet-to-be faction. That's right, the Blue Chamber would be the faction I'd join, which I'll explain in a bit. Would you look at that? That's gonna be our first proper test. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, this thing is quick. Run around and fucking kill him, yeah. After the giant distraction, I snuck past the Immaculate as I didn't really feel like getting stun-locked to death.
Hello there, little guy. Hello.
Perish. In the temple, luring the shell horrors into the cock explosion chamber wasn't too hard, however, I was really fucking scared of the Vile Illuminator. Not only is he himself quite a tough opponent, dealing high damage and having extreme area denial, but he is also usually surrounded by a whole gaggle of smaller Illuminators who are similarly quite fond of coating the ground in puke green saliva. Let's go. Oh, fucking hell, it's fucking covering up my backpack. Okay, fuck it. Okay, that's not too bad. Oh god. Oh. Okay. Oh, get out of there. Drink us down the potion. They are healing up. Oh god. Ah ha ha. I'm standing in the fucking shit right now. Oh. Come on. I'm gonna heal. I don't want to die from anything stupid. He's littering the fucking floor. Stop it. Die. Okay. However, I prevailed, less owed to my own competency and more so due to the Illuminators wandering off and, not as is often the case, sticking to their larger, malformed, repulsive, unique variant. Regardless, I got a fuck ton of loot, requiring me to also equip a shield to not be morbidly obese. Much of this weight was attributed to the atrociously balanced but nice looking thrice-wrought halberd. It is safe to say that I will sell it immediately upon reaching town, as 36 total damage for a halberd meant to occupy the same rarity and thus sell value as a pulse-led weapon, among others, is absolutely absurd and unworthy of the kilobytes of space used to keep this in the game. Whatever. To be able to immediately profit off of my hard-earned resources, I of course also needed occult remains, which are very easily acquired off of the hivemen patrolling the area surrounding their disgusting dens. Now, with easily, I am purely referring to how easily they can be found in Anmakar, as taking them out, especially with a hive lord amongst them, is anything but easy. They unleash bees, which besides giving you STIs also consistently damage you, which if you're buck naked is, well, quite a problem to say the least. Also, this once again proves that we're dealing with a poor imitation of Merton's powers, as I am genuinely unsure how a bee would puncture pure condensed calcium with its tiny little stinker and inject poison into my bone marrow. Yeah, exploiting a running attack is really effective. Oh god! I'm guessing there's no Sora. Okay, yeah. I'm starting to think that the Soroborian Caravana. I think he's Skeleton Cyst. I think he's one of those boneless supremacists I keep hearing about. I think he's one of those. I think he prefers boneless, both in his chicken and his people. He isn't over here either. He really is a disgusting racist. Having made more bread than is in stock in this guy's bakery, I was finally able to afford the entirety of the Hunter skill tree. However, both Predator Leap and Feral Strikes wouldn't end up becoming essential components of my strategy for several reasons. For one, both of them, but especially so Predator Leap, consume heaps of durability, something that, as it would later turn out, was a huge fucking problem. Also, and more importantly, in Feral Strike's case, in later encounters, staggering enemies becomes harder and harder, at least when you, well, keep using what is essentially an early game weapon. As such, the Rage Boon would turn out to be borderline necessary for most late game encounters, which makes Feral Strikes, consuming the Rage Boon, an incredibly tough sell. Fucking bit my lip. I'm not really recording that, fuck off. At the very least, resilience would be incredibly useful. I probably would have died anywhere from 5 to 10 times if I didn't have it. So now, with my first set of advanced skills acquired, I sucked up to the old hag and joined the collective for several reasons. For one, it offers relatively solid survivability, maybe not as much as the Holy Mission, but 40 extra HP is still quite a massive boost. Also, I'd get 2 mystery items, to which I also referred in the beginning, but I will only talk about later, and infuse blood in the Three Brothers. I then acquired real estate for the price of 62.5 jars of Garberry Jam, confirming that Outward in fact takes place in the 60s, and headed over to the Cursinees to deal with the Vanderbilt bandits. Croc and Rosper were surprisingly very easily dealt with, but I was almost disassembled into doggy treats by, well, guess who? The fucking nurse. How did that happen? No fucking clue. Now, I didn't want to kill Belira because, for one, she's incredibly scary to fight out to her propensity to one-hit you, and because she gives you the Preservation Backpack, which is incredibly useful if you plan on not fucking starving later on in the Three Brothers. So I was headed off to the Ghost Pass, which was made an absolute fucking joke by Mason Fusion, and paid a visit to the Hermit, where I also acquired my second skill tree, aptly named the Cabal Hermit. Yeah, fucking hell. This one though would prove to be significantly more useful than the Wild Hunter for a multitude of reasons. Mana Push would become a regularly used skill as it deals 100 impact damage relatively quickly and at no stamina cost, where the Tolerance would also be an essential component in order to prevent my bones from being frozen off or my marrow being baked. Shamanic Resonance would be incredibly impactful as well, as it increased my damage output, but more importantly increased my resistances gained from boons and my impact damage gained from rage, and as I mentioned, impact would prove to be even more vital than it usually is, which is why Infuse Wind is fucking broken as well. It roids my attack speed up to 1.4 and increases my impact damage by 50%, which is, needless to say, completely busted. Lastly, Conjure is nice, as having an undead body with me from time to time was funny, but honestly not too useful. Drawing a bit of aggro is the best you're really getting. Now, I do have to admit, when I started with this run, I was only really thinking of the Hunter and Monk for the skill trees, and even considered the Rogue Engineer just for Feather Dodge in the beginning. In retrospective, I cannot believe my own cognitive impairment, but hey, in the end I luckily didn't fuck up and in fact went for the right skill tree. Fucking Feather Dodge. Really? What the fuck is wrong with me? Regardless, I then, strengthened by my newly learned skills, took out the Shell Horror and Cursed Wendigo, which meant that I now could head back to Vanderbilt Fortress and complete the quest. Also, there is one more thing in here that I have to take care of. This town ain't big enough for the two of us, buddy. With the Preservation Backpack acquired, the obvious thing to do would be to head back to Boog and start Mixed Legacies. However, I had some other things to do in Harmattan first. Upon arrival, well, I was completely fucking broke, as I had of course given the Hermit enough money to afford a singular egg in the United States of America. So I unlocked mana to cast the spells I had previously learned, and went over to the Clock Tower in hopes of killing the two-piece golems there for Palladium, which would in turn enable me to craft a horror weapon, which I could then sell for fat stacks of cash. Oh god. Fucking hell. Nice. 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 Now a little less impoverished and again made acutely aware of my own mortality, I got the speedster's elementary skills, most notably efficiency, and as the Soroborian refused to take me to either Berg or Monsoon, I went around the plateau killing some more horrors and activating the totem for infused wind. Fucking beaver, oh my god, the fucking beaver. Yeah, he can't get up here because he's fucking stupid. Okay, beaver, get him. What a foolish creature. No! Well, as we have already established, Soroborians are disgusting, boneless supremacists, and so I had to let what probably amounted to weeks pass by for him to finally offer me the option to travel to Monsoon. The horrors I had killed in the plateau allowed me to craft a few more horror weapons, which I naturally sold, allowing me to finally acquire the Warrior Monk skill tree. Brace is of course the best skill in the game, as it allows you to immediately stagger any single enemy except for like the Rust Lich or something, and Steadfast Ascetic is of course incredibly useful as well. However, between Perfect Strike and Master of Motion I would have to choose, and it wasn't an easy choice. Master of Motion seems like the obvious passive for this run, as 10 to every single resistance may very well prove to be the difference between life and death in more than one scenario. Perfect Strike on the other hand though would allow me to inflict pain on enemies, making them take slightly more damage. Also, and very importantly, it deals a flat 25 raw damage and converts the remaining 200% multiplier to raw as well. And while that usually just limits the damage potential, as raw damage is of course not buffed by things such as boons or discipline, in this case I was of course stuck with the fire poker. And so raw damage could be incredibly useful against enemies resistant or outright immune to fire damage, which are especially in the second DLC an inevitability. Merton ain't no bitch. We're getting Perfect Strike. Having chosen Perfect Strike with fittingly perfect logic, I then also went for Flesh Onslaught, and my reasoning is quite simple here. It covers a large AoE, thus addressing my weapon's inadequate range. It inflicts confusion, which increases the amount of impact damage taken by enemies by 25%, and while it does consume discipline, as my weapon only deals split physical damage, it's really not too big of a damage loss. Also, Brace, the absolute goat, takes care of that regardless. I then made my way back to Berg and finally started Mixed Legacies. While the Blue Chamber was subject to an arson attack, presumably caused by an academically challenged lobotomite short-circuiting their Chromebook, I also picked up the Blood Under the Sun quest in the inn. When I got back to Gabriella, the pyromaniac had already been justly executed for being a fucking dimwit, and so I entered the Ancestors' resting place. There I found Balthazar dead, which made me extremely emotionally charged, as that was a very sad experience. Also, by the way, did you know that the name Balthazar is of Babylonian origin and means God protect the king, more specifically Baal protect the king, Baal referring to, among others, an ancient Semitic storm deity who would, in his long time of worship in the Levant, eventually also be the source of inspiration or influence for a god that would later on supplant Baal and become known as Yahweh, or, well, the god of over 55% of the world's population today. Where was I? Right, I killed the bandit captain, because why not, and rescued Rissa and Kirak from the outpost, where I also read the note required to solve Blood Under the Sun, as Mixed Legacies had now been completed and I had been bestowed with an assortment of random fucking garbage. I went off to Levant to finish off Blood Under the Sun, which promised very little rewards, but I arbitrarily decided that all the faction side quests were obligatory, so I did it anyways. I really didn't care about the decrease in buying prices. See, my weapon smuggling operation is purely import-based. I deliver extremely potent but also extremely expensive weaponry to a direct geopolitical enemy of my own faction, and in return I get a fuckload of currency and leave. It's a win-win-win, really. Levant gets expensive weapons, so they think they stand even the slightest chance. I get rich off my fucking ass, and the Blue Chamber wins the war not on the battlefield but economically. Notice the immense wealth with which I'm leaving. That not only represents my retirement money, but also money that the Levantine protectionist economy will never see again. I make every single trader go bankrupt, leave with the money, and suddenly they can't buy supplies or food, making prices skyrocket for the local population, while the lack of currency forces the Levantine central bank to simply give out more currency, resulting in even higher prices and eventually hyperinflation. As a German, I still know the tales of the Weimar Republic, where one singular, scrumptious egg didn't cost $6, $7, $10. No, they cost 320 billion Reichsmark. Moving on, and this time I won't get distracted, pinky promise. I found the perpetrator, the king and queen's son. What a surprise, and witnessed his execution via the firing squad, and then went back to Berg. Back home, I accepted the Ash Giant's quest and so hit the road again on my way to their village in Monsoon. While headed there, I also said hi to a buddy of mine who quite likes hanging out on the sidewalk. Confoundingly though, he didn't respond, and I instead got the Purifier quest, which I would take care of later. I then arrived in the Giant's village and they agreed to join the collective under one condition. They had recently been unable to contact their supplier for a certain road, which they would smoke in order to allow them to breathe at such high altitudes. Now, the contraband plant did only grow in the reptilian layer, and so I was instructed with retrieving the roots. Before that, I also talked to Golden Belly about how his boss is a fucking dipshit and visited a crack den to hit the books, specifically one documenting the Giant's customs. For some reason, it didn't mention their propensity to get high as a kite off of tree roots, but I didn't really care, so instead I entered the wildlife habitat housing the drugs. Nice. Ah, fucking hell. Oh god, this is bad, oh god. Oh! I think one mana push should be enough to stagger him, so maybe bait out like an explosion or something. Come on, do the explosion. Do the explosion. Ah, you fucker. Oh, fucking hell. Come on! I fucking misclicked. I pressed 2 when I really just wanted to use Flash Onslaught. That was way too close, way too many times for no fucking reason. Oh my god, I keep misclicking. I'm bad at the video game. There we go, fucking hell. After confronting the local wildlife in a highly commanding and controlled fashion, I acquired the goods and was thus able to convince the Giants to join the Blue Chamber Collective, and so I got Blood of the Giants, a huge bonus to survivability. After, I entered the second large tree in the area to complete Purifier, and similarly to Blood Under the Sun, the rewards were far from appealing. I am not even gonna pick that up. That is a disgrace, and I do not know why this thing exists in the game. Upon my triumphant return to Berg, I yet again annihilated all that lives within the Cabal of Wind's temple before starting Whispering Bones. Turns out, Risa has been part of an organization with the express purpose of storing everyone's memories forever. AI engineers are creaming from their tips right now. I was assigned as Roland's special needs teacher, which of course entailed me having to make my way back to the Cursed Knees, where I had to help Roland, who had previously been convicted of negligent manslaughter and thus been sentenced to 50 years of indentured servitude to the tribe. I did of course pretend to be nice to him, as that's necessary for the optimal and only acceptable outcome. In the Conflux Chamber, the known dullard made a mistake which many of us have lost characters to, that being maxing out mana. Now, with a newly acquired ginormous brain, Roland had become as brittle as a leaf, not but a frail and friable twig, about to be carried off into the skies by a slight gust of wind, his bones now as hollow as a bird's and prone to spontaneously snapping. As I look down upon those with lacking calcium intake or otherwise derived bone weaknesses, I despise him even more. Though again, we need to be nice to him, and so we went and got his little trinket, also remembering to take some blue sand with us to Berg. There we got the crackhead blacksmith to craft a device allowing Roland to better control his mana before heading off to the also familiar Cabal to take out the green shell horror. Unsurprisingly, Roland was entirely useless, as with all the mana, all the spell options he has access to, he chooses to use the fucking runic claymore, mayhaps, perchance, the worst fucking weapon in the game. Why does he do this? Because a high IQ stands by no means in correlation with high intellect, just like mankind's consciousness and ability to speak does not make it necessarily intelligent. Whatever. Back in Berg, we needed to talk to Gabriella, who told us to talk to fucking King Julian from the hit movie Madagascar, featuring that one penguin with brain damage. Regardless, I found Julian laying on the floor, letting his blood seep into the wooden walls of the inn. His unresponsiveness was due to Sagard, who applied measured, reasonable self-defense after Julian got out a 5 cm knife, which Sagard attested to have been massive. I disagree with that. 5 centimeters is quite puny, but let's not get hung up on the details. Also, I apologize if I sound kind of weird. I just got a nosebleed right now and had to thus plug up one of my nostrils. I could just stop recording and wait a couple of minutes, but I don't fucking care. I'm just gonna fucking continue like this. I entered the necropolis to pursue the Scarlet Lady threatening the ancestors' memories and opened the gate by appeasing the ancestors. I may or may not have also stolen grave goods and killed one of my ancestors, but that's beside the point. Cream you. Hello? 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 Okay. Quit out. There. Hello? The fuck? Maybe he doesn't talk to me if I'm a skeleton. What the fuck? Is that intentional? The hell? That is so weird. There you go. Ornate bone shield. No, I didn't originally intend to use the ornate bone shield, hence my complete lack of any shield skills at this point, but genuinely, how could I not? It fits perfectly, and there's even the weird interaction with Cremu, which is, as I have gone on to find out, entirely intentional and probably would have made more sense if I had character voices turned on. Whatever the case, I talked to Roland, he turned into an immortal and all-knowing amalgam of souls, and I got the Lantern of Souls. See, usually Ancestors' Memories is objectively superior, as 25 mana is extremely useful on almost any build, whereas the Lantern's use case is more niche. However, in this run, the extra defenses come in incredibly clutch, and holding it in the offhand fits the rules. Also, I have just now decided I don't care. Also, look into his eyes, or rather, the empty, hollow eye sockets. Is there really a soul in there? No, there isn't, and so the Lantern of Souls is quite fitting. So, with the final 2 pieces of equipment for the run acquired, I talked to Rissa and finished Whispering Bones. Before I did anything overly hasty, some couple of wins and hype action to prepare for the now imminent DLCs. Come on. Oh. Come on, and stagger the shit out of him. Oh, it does a lot of damage. Oh. Stagger. Get his balls. Ah, and don't have the fucking flies explode on my ass. That didn't go too badly. That was fine. Then I started the final faction quest with the goal of ensuring the impending peace deal between Levant and the Blue Chamber was accepted by all parties. First, I had to convince Sagard. And let's beat an old man up. Get absolutely fucking shafted. Oh, get styled on. Ooh. Next up were the Moncom Bandits. I don't know why we care about their opinion. They literally feed people to ghosts, but whatever. For that, we had to head back to the Cursanese again. While I was there, I also paid a visit to Seazo and got Shield Charge as an alternative to Mana Push, as with the Ornate Bone Shield, instead of basically no damage and 100 impact, I'd deal 102 impact damage, 64 damage split between physical and ethereal, and inflict Haunted, which my occasionally employed ghost buddy would surely appreciate. Lastly, the Ash Giants needed little convincing, and without much more fanfare, we were in Monsoon, ready for the finale. I didn't fuck up at some point or another. I'm fine. Let's drink that. Oh, very nice. Just wait a second, guys. It's fine. Just, I'll be there in a second. There, Fuse Wind, fucks him up. Yeah, shield charge fucks him up too. Yeah, they got it. Okay. Then at this point, I don't think the Immaculates are there because I did Purifier exactly. Oh, come on! Oh. Okay, that was really fucking easy, not gonna lie. And so, we're done, and as I have successfully demonstrated, you can indeed beat the main game as Merton without dying once, wearing armor whose only characteristic is its complete lack of any characteristics, and using a weapon almost as brittle as Roland's body and mind. There were some close calls and there were some very close calls, but ultimately this wasn't all that hard. Naturally, next up we're doing the DLCs, and I highly suspect that they won't be this forgiving. Do the YouTube thing, subscribe to my channel and like the video, as this took a colossal amount of effort to put together. I will probably get 1 or 2 smaller videos out while I'm working on the DLC video, so stay tuned. Bye.